I think it's time for us to move on to Handsome John's topic, though, because this is the big one, folks. That's right. It's not the Game Awards. We're talking about what?
Cyberpunk 2077, of course.
And how amazing the game launch was and how everybody loved it. And there
it
were
went
no
so
problems
smooth.
whatsoever.
It definitely didn't have any Anthem-type problems or, driver issues or quality issues.
I would
Definitely
take
didn't have
Anthem problems over these problems.
Ooh,
Damn, that's a hard
controversial
claim right
opinion
there.
They were very close to each other as it was almost unplayable. But at least the graphics were there. But right now, Cyberpunk 2077 is running some issues, but they did happen to obliterate a first day record of 1 million concurrent players to the original Fallout 4 with only 472,000
On old Steam.
On Steam, yep. Which is apparently one of the only places to actually play this game. Unfortunately, because of all the downfall that we will discuss here in a minute, the developers, as we all are worried about how, companies use payment structures like bonuses for ratings, like from Metacritic and stuff like that, in order to base their bonuses. Of course, everybody was super worried for the developers over at CD Projekt Red because this thing was tanking hard and they had to crunch. They had to beat themselves to death to get this game out, and we know they did. But it turns out that no matter how it reviews, that they are going to get their bonuses, which is a huge deal because it's kind of like known in the industry that basing bonuses on reviews is kind of the biggest backhand that you can get from a company, because you didn't work any less on this game in both time, collaboration, or even good or bad ideas. It was really just how the game was received.
Not only that, oftentimes games are rushed out due to company decisions, and therefore your bonuses get chopped because the people up top who still get their bonuses decide that it's time for it to go.
Yeah, and in a game like this one where it was delayed twice and should have been delayed another time, that wasn't, and you're going to blame them because they get bad reviews. That's not exactly the fairest thing in the world.
Writing, direction, all kinds of stuff, it contributes to the Metacritic score. So, like the developers, getting bonuses based off this, somebody else could really screw the pooch there. It's kind of like the tip system at this point too. Like the cooks screw it, but suddenly the wait staff is what's paying the price there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. For reference, the Metacritic currently for PC is 89. The Metacritic for PS4 is currently 52, and Xbox One is 55.
Yeah, and of course, these reviews that they were going to be based on were not for console reviews, but also the minimum in order to gain the spoken minimum was 90 on Metacritic, or as a local review should have in order for you to gain your bonus.
Yeah, they were saying that if it has an average of 90, they get the bonuses.
Yeah, and that's obviously not exactly the most fair thing in the world. I've got to take this off or it's going to explode my brain. And for the biggest, and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal at first, but it truly is to me, because Cyberpunk 2077 is best played on the cloud. Anybody see this coming? Because I didn't.
Not even a little bit, and definitely not the platform either.
Yeah. Can you say what the platform is, John?
Stadia. It is freaking good at Stadia. It blows my mind because we have been trash talking Stadia forever. Now, all of a sudden, everyone can't play this game, and the only place to play it other than a top high-end PC is on Stadia. It's freaking nuts.
Hang on. I'm trying to fish out my Stadia controller that fell behind my other desktop here on the left.
How many inches of dust is on that, Mark?
Yeah.
Or use tissues.
There's
something on there.
There's a little bit of dust on here.
I don't know if that's dust or right. Yeah.
No, but this will be probably, we'll see, but this may be the first time I've had to pull this out, since, it launched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was what, 13 months ago now? I mean,
yeah.
You'll need to charge that battery.
November? It was last October, November. Yeah, so it was 13 months.
I mean, to put it this way, the last time I used this controller, for example, was to plug it in via USB to my PC to play Rocket League with.
There you go.
So
That's
unless you're rocking a brand new,
I didn't enjoy that experience with it.
Yeah, so unless you're rocking a brand new RTX 3080 high end everything in your PC, you're not going to get anywhere near the graphics fidelity that you want, that you could even get from Stadia above and beyond.
And the frame rate too. Like you can play at Xbox and PS4 type, graphics levels, which we just looked at, or what the differentiator is.
They said that it was pretty much impossible to do 60 frames at 4K. You're pretty much looking at maybe 60 frames at 1080p if you're high end enough.
So Linus Tech Tips actually did an interesting video on that. They waited for the pre-release copy to come out before the launch of the game, plugged in an 8K television over an HDMI 2.1 connection and plugged it up using a 3080, and then tested it again with a 3090, and noticed that running with DLSS, the a AI-based super sampling system, it actually makes the game run super performant because it's only actually rendering at 1080p, and then it's using the machine learning to upscale it to 4K or 1080p, or I'm sorry, 8K.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you can set it at a pretty decent quality, and still push like 54 frames out of it on I think he was doing that on a 3090, but on a 3080, if you cut it back down to like 4K with like DLSS and RTX on, DLSS set to like performance, for example, you can actually get decent.
Well,
there's a lot of configurable options when it comes to DLSS configuration and ray tracing enabled on that.
Pretty much with that and overclocking, running a RTX 3080, which by the way is still rare because they are sold out. They're being scalped on eBay. Like it's almost impossible to get a hold of. Like even if you're running a 2060, 2070 Super, you're not going to get what you want out of it.
Oh no. 2060s and 2070 Supers are going to be struggling hard.
Oh yeah, they said that you would have to lower it down to mid at best, mid graphics at best, and you were probably running close to 15 to 30 frames per second.
Like I'm running a 2080 Super on the desktop that I'm on right now, and I would fully anticipate that if I was going to try to play this, that I would probably have to drop everything down to mid-range settings. And turn DLSS on and ray tracing probably off.
Yep.
To get the type of frame rate that I would want to get out of it, which is above 60, since I have a monitor that's G-Sync and 120 hertz. So.
And that's just to make it playable. And that's if it doesn't glitch out and crash on you on its own, which we will also talk about.
Other topic.
So unfortunately, Cyberpunk is also being kind of like, according to Gizmodo, they're comparing it to Crysis, which I wasn't a part of the PC community, still really not, but I am more now than I ever have been. During the time of Crysis, where it was pretty much if you didn't have the highest end $5,000 dollar setup, you weren't getting anywhere near enough to play Crysis the way you needed to be.
Yeah,
I mean, the common phrase was always, "Can it run Crysis?" That like there's literally a website I think called "Can it run Crysis," which will tell you based on specs.
Shit.
Can it run Crysis and at what frame rate? Like it's always been sort of a benchmark, even like Crysis 2 and Crysis 3 as they've come out, they've always pushed them. And not just from a graphical perspective, but from like a physics perspective too. Like it'll really push your system to the max there.
The PS3 included.
Yeah, buddy.
But
you could cook steaks on that thing.
Yeah, it's just super fed. It's really sad that we can't even get people to get these GPUs in their hands to play games like this that want to, because of the shortage and the manipulation of scalpers. But unfortunately, that is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate to say that because it has such a bad connotation now, but it really is.
Yeah,
I mean, NVIDIA put out a statement that they're not going to have another like large stock of 3080s, 3070s, and 3090s until January 2021.
Yeah, and I think that's still pretty optimistic.
Yeah, well, and AMD actually took a step in the direction that I hadn't anticipated. They started actually putting out specific numbers of processors and GPUs.
Oh, wow.
Specific numbers of how many they were going to have to release for each month or by certain release dates.
And I bet they weren't very large.
No.
Not that the numbers were anything extravagant, to be fair.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still a good number. Like exactly what you're saying. Like it's like a step in the right direction.
Yep.
And as Brent was describing earlier with the scores, there was a reason why there were so many different scores for the same game. And that's because the Cyberpunk 2077 versions of PS4 and Xbox One are horrendous. They actually,
there's-
I think, in my opinion, look worse than PS3 and Xbox 360 games.
Just take a look at this.
Yeah. There you go.
There's plenty. We'll
Or,
show
no,
you a
wait,
slideshow
this.
here.
It's
Oh,
that way.
there's another good one right there. Yep. Oh man, that's just it's so bad.
Yeah.
And as of right now, it's not much better on the PS4
I just
Pro and the Xbox
One
X. One X.
I just realized for anybody listening on Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that, you're not going to know what the hell we're talking about. Check it out on YouTube,
Yep.
or
We
just
put up-
take a look. Just take a look at Cyberpunk console versus PC images, and
There you
trust
go.
me,
Yeah.
you'll
Super
understand
easy.
right away.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much what Halo Infinite did on its release. We're looking right now at PS5 and Xbox Series X being the next playable version, though still glitchy, but is playable and looks moderately
No.
decent.
So that's playing the last gen version on the current gen hardware.
Yeah, I know, but
So
the
it's
hardware
still-
can
yeah.
handle it for graphic fidelity a little bit better, but your glitches are still the same. Like anything that you would
clarifying-
see.
It's not a PS5 version. It's the PS4 version played on the hardware.
I'm sorry, playing it on the PS5
Yeah.
on the Series X.
Because there's currently not a version for PS5 or Series X, which is I think what a lot of people were upset about.
Well,
was
they
like,
should
yeah.
be. I mean, for as many years as this thing was in development, they should have had console versions. This generation of console versions should have been well within round. I mean, this is nowhere near where the capabilities are of a PS4 or PS4 Pro can handle. And they just neglected the crap out of it for some reason. Is it because that they thought they were going to get more money from the PC community and they actually lowered the console version lower on the priority list and they just don't want to admit it because they know damn well Sony and Xbox will come back and be like, well, guess what? We don't want to deal with you anymore.
61% of the pre-orders came from Steam. So yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. 39% came from console, split between the two consoles. And yeah.
And not only that, but the Steam community has been, I would say the PC community has been very loud about wanting Cyberpunk 2077 to be the best game of all freaking time. So I'm sure
absolutely.
that they were very much trying to prioritize their versions.
Literally attacking a woman who said that it caused epilepsy because she was trying to warn people that it caused epilepsy, and they sent her videos that also induced epilepsy because that's what fandom means now, apparently.
Was that the red team or the green team?
Yeah, who the fuck knows? The shitty one, all of them.
Yeah, if you're a part of any of those teams, you're pretty much an idiot. But that's fine. It's the same that goes with PlayStation and Xbox. I love Microsoft games. I love PlayStation games. I just tend to favor PlayStation because they have what I like and I like their ecosystem and I've been a part of it long enough that I'm sticking to it. So it is what it is.
I love games.
I love
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Not good. I'm surprised they didn't take a Rockstar route with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like with
like
Grand
Red
Theft Auto, why they didn't go for a console launch first with lower fidelity graphics? They already had all the technology in place to implement higher fidelity graphics. Because by the way, the next generation consoles, which fine, they didn't release a next gen version of the game, but implement AMD graphics with the Fidelity FX options and everything else like that integrated with it. Like, why didn't you just release that? And then upscale everything and make everything better suddenly for PC versions 3 months, 6 months, whatever down the line. And you could have had the console version out 2 or 3 months ago. Like we saw from, Grand Theft Auto 5's perspective, the game was good enough. It continued to sell. It still sits as the second best selling game of all time.
First
or third
top.
best selling.
It's literally the top. It has beaten Minecraft. It is the highest selling game of all time currently.
Tetris is
Tetris
slated,
is weird because of the fact that
there's not enough reporting to know for certain.
So basically, the assumption is that it's Tetris, but when we talk about definitive numbers, it is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah,
100%. But
yeah,
like the point is, like why didn't they do that kind of phased rollout? It's the same game, the same build, different level of testing for the consoles, but you could have focused on the consoles up front, spent 3 to 6 months to completely tune, upgrade, and revamp everything for RTX and DLSS and Fidelity FX for the new AMD line, and focused on the PC stuff. But everyone would have not given a crap about how good it looks because one, there's no comparison. Two, you could have probably spent the time to focus on a next gen version, which would have implemented Fidelity FX and ray tracing and the rest of them. and then you could have just rolled that into the PC version. Now, granted, for Grand Theft Auto 5, it took them a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was over a year to come out with the PC version of the game.
Yeah.
But it was another gangbuster smash hit, that came right back out the other side of it. So
just like Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 had the same trajectory, right? It came out on consoles first, they waited a year, and then it came out on PC.
But the thing is PC's always been the one taking a back seat, and there's probably a good reason for it. I'm not a developer, so I couldn't tell you.
I don't need to do Excel. Ooh, I want to play a game. Give me a controller, baby. Okay? Give me a controller.
Oh man.
Not that controller, not that one. Not the one you're pulling out. Not that one.
I have a controller for my PC.
But
I want this controller.
The part, yeah,
really
exactly. The boomerang. The
But no, I guess my thing is that like you re-release the game out on PC after the fact, and you only make it available on console up front. People on console are going to buy it up front there. But if you suddenly come out and say, hey, there's new features, maybe there's some DLC stuff that hasn't quite come out for console yet that we're putting on PC, and the graphics are so much better here, people might be inclined to buy it a second time. We already saw it once. Try to come up with the same algorithm as long as you have something just as, integrated, I guess.
But that's what makes this so unusual is because everybody always does this except they didn't. And they saw the writing on the walls and they wanted their money up front. They wanted to get that money in the bank so they could either pay people or deal with things or tell investors, hey, look at all the money.
John, they released their statement. They just didn't pay enough attention to the console version. How
is that even possible?
I don't fucking know. You're a game development company. This is one of the
last games of the generation. You were going to be a benchmark, something to be reveled for years to want to compare to on the next gen console and want to even improve further on, like something that was going to ring throughout a very long period of time. Like, man, they finished that console generation with an amazing game called 2077. No, they didn't. No, they ended with not with a bang, but a whimper.
With a whimper. But a little bit back to your point, Mark, I truly believe they could have done it really successfully, very easily. And the easiest win for them would have been, hey, we're delaying it on console, but when you buy the last generation version, you get a free upgrade to the next gen version. So that way, for anybody who hasn't bought a brand new console, they still have something to look forward to on their brand new console. Right. And it eases the transition for anybody else, right? Like all these people pre-ordered the PS4 and Xbox One special editions. Guess what? You now get that special edition and a PS5 version of the game.
And the congratulations. Fact that a PS5 edition in a Series X edition doesn't exist means how much pressure they were under and how far they were. What is this? Was 8 years in development? Oh my
2012,
God.
The 2020.
I mean, the big thing here too is now that they've already released the last gen consoles versions of this, and they didn't focus on Series X and PS5, is who's going to go back and buy a Series X or PS5 version? The only thing you're going to be able to do at this point is to do a rolled upgrade to that.
Yeah,
not like releasing on different platforms is one thing. Releasing on different versions of what is essentially the same platform, you can't quite do that and hope for and expect to get like the same kind of results out of that.
No, and this is also
to be fair, Skyrim is an exception out of all of this. Let's clarify.
And GTA 5, it now fits into that category.
Yeah.
Like
and
soon GTA 5 will also be on refrigerators and pregnancy tests.
Oh God, I hope not.
It's certainly the way not to release a game, hands down.
Yeah, it's awful.
So if you were wondering if CD Projekt Red ever talked about how they felt about it, they did, and they told us a bunch of stuff. And here is one of their statements. First of all, we would like to start by apologizing to you for not showing the game on base last gen consoles before it premiered, and in consequence, not allowing you to make a more informed decision about your purchase.
I would like to interject.
Because it's not the last sentence.
Not just not showing. They wouldn't allow reviewers to review it. They wouldn't allow them to use their own footage. They had to use the stock PC footage that CD Projekt Red provided for all of the review videos. You don't do that if you're confident in your fucking product.
No. Nope. NVIDIA. We'll talk about NVIDIA later. We should have paid more attention to making it play better on the PS4 and the Xbox One. You for having 8 years to work on this game, yeah, you really should have. Studios added that it will also fix bugs in the overall experience. The first updates have just been released, and there are more coming, expected to be in January and February, with details announced prior to release. And also the quote continuing, together, these should fix the most prominent problems gamers are facing on last gen consoles, which there's a lot to fix. I don't even think a patch is going to fix this right
graphical
away.
Fidelity and lack of ray tracing?
Probably not.
No. Oh, well, then I don't care. Like,
yeah.
Exactly. And that's, it's a lot of corporate speak about, hey, we'll fix it eventually. It's coming. Don't worry. We got your back. Just keep the game. Nothing is going to happen. It's awful. Yeah, pretty much. And, of course, they admitted that they didn't spend enough time on the last gen consoles. We all know that. You didn't have to say it. We see it. We're literally looking at it.
You actually, in my opinion, you shouldn't have spent any time on last gen consoles. You should have spent all of your time on current gen consoles.
It's last gen now, current gen then.
Yeah. Don't care. Future gen, whatever. At the time, future gen consoles.
Well, I mean, at the same time, like the PS4 Pro, that adds another consequence. Same with the Xbox One and the Xbox One X. It added a whole nother set of consequences for games like this releasing at the end of a generation, because they are vast from each other in itself. They were probably this far away from being another console in the next generation of console, between the wireless card being upgraded, its processing capabilities, its storage capabilities. Like, the only thing it had was the same UI.
Yeah, graphical fidelity, like the direction of graphical fidelity or graphical processing has definitely changed since then. So I think that's kind of a big.
I mean, I watched Brent play the original PlayStation 4, and I'm like, I don't think I could go back. I mean, there's a lot of games that look just fine on it. Don't get me wrong. It does just as well as the PS4 Pro. But the games that have load on the PS4 and watching it on the difference on the PS4 Pro is a totally different world.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean,
that being said, I play PS1 games like all the time.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, if your eyes are shit, it doesn't matter. You're Brent Metcalf.
Yeah. Yeah, I will play N64 games on this little handboy right here. Nintendo will come after me.
God,
you missed the most important part of the comment or the statement, John.
And which one?
Finally, we would also always like everyone to buy our games and be satisfied with the purchase. We appreciate it if you give us a chance, but if you are not pleased with the game on your console and don't want to wait for updates, you can opt to refund your copy. For copies purchased digitally, please use the refund systems on PSN and Xbox respectively. For box versions, please first try to get a refund at your store. If not, you can contact us here. So this block right here is what has caused fucking havoc on Twitter and the internet over the course of the past 24 hours, because CD Projekt Red fanboys and girls assumed that meant that CD Projekt Red was helping with the review, like the process of refunding these titles. That is not the case. They have talked to no retailer whatsoever,
the
including PSN and Xbox. So people are trying to get a refund on their game, and there's literally like printouts of conversations people are having with like the PlayStation help desk, where they're like, "I just want my fucking money. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're following the policy we follow with all of our games. Like, I can't."
I was gonna say, like, the individual retailers have their own policies there.
Correct.
Like, you break the plastic seal, Steam, you play the game over a certain number of hours. You know, like you can't get it back after that, and that's kind of the point. But CD Projekt Red to sort of make a blank statement like that without actually setting something up or verifying it with vendors.
They also didn't clarify until like 8 hours ago, so it's like just been bedlam. I've been watching the entire thing melt down.
I mean, so to be fair, I didn't know that the vendors didn't know about this until like just now. I had read all the headlines that said, hey, you know, by the way, we're just, you know, or like we're allowing for refunds to happen, you know, if you're not happy with it or whatever, that kind of thing, you know, like they're just letting refunds happen. I didn't know that there was a whole caveat to this.
Well, there was a link that was given out that was tied to CD Projekt Red, which is what made that also very confusing.
Yeah.
To me, I thought initially that was them saying, contact us if you're having trouble and we'll fix that. Yeah. But in normalcy, like you contact the PSN or Xbox, or you take your game back to GameStop,
where you bought it from,
and return it. Now GameStop might end up taking a little on the top, and you'll have to, or whatever, for an open package. But I mean, normally if you're buying it digitally, they'll refund you in these particular cases, they don't tend to argue because it's too much. People are just going to be super pissed, and then you're going to start running into issues with consumer lawsuits where it's going to be a lot more expensive if you do not give refunds.
See, it's really interesting here because as far as my understanding of it is, right, like there
was false advertising.
Well, 100%. But like a retailer, whether it's digital or physical, they purchase the product from the company, and then they own that product now, right? The company has nothing to do with it. So CD Projekt Red saying they're going to help makes no sense to me, because I don't know how CD Projekt Red's going to help with shit.
Well, one, I don't know if they sold directly to anybody. I'm not entirely sure, especially when it comes... They self-publish. Well, yeah, I know they self-publish, but they usually sell to stores for physical copies, and you buy from those stores. Don't know if they had a direct marketplace, especially for special editions, which they very well might be on the hook for as well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to mostly like digital markets, like the PSN or Microsoft, usually they'll give you refunds without too much hassle in these circumstances.
It depends on the game and it depends on the situation, which is why I'm curious about this, because again, like Sony buys those codes, right? They buy an allotment from CD Projekt Red. A lot of people believe that codes are infinite, and technically there's like a certain amount that you can give out, and they can be, but there's still an inventory that they keep track of because they pay for each copy. Sony only gets a portion off the top and all that other stuff. So, they track it on the back end. It's not like they're sitting there going, okay, we bought 2,000 from CD Projekt Red, but they keep track of all of it. So the return policy is not simple or easy, and it's usually frustrating. So I imagine it's difficult for retailers.
Is for the consumer because they don't see that shit.
Yeah, for retailers, 100% they own it. When GameSpot buys like 60,000 like Cyberpunk, that's theirs now. They bought it from CD Projekt Red. They own those games.
I've heard that they have returned unopened copies to.
So big box, like AAA publishers, they do a refund policy with that store individually, where it's like, hey, a certain amount we will take back, and we'll give you a cut off the next shipment. Gotcha. But it's very rarely like I can take X amount of games and give them directly back to that same person I just bought it from for my money back.
Okay. I mean,
so,
all
it's
I'm
complicated.
Saying is
sucks
like,
for everyone.
This is one of those reasons why, one, you do not pre-order things. And I know all these companies are like, well, we need to know, how many people, like, we need to know what the server sizes are going to be. And we need to know.
Don't care.
Well, sorry.
Don't
you guys fucked the pooch way too many times on this one. And we can't even trust AAA developers. We can't trust, well-known or indie titles. It doesn't matter. All of you have screwed it up one way or another. Some of you, obviously a lot more massive than others. But it's super sad to see what's going on. I totally forgot about the refund process. When I heard about this initially, I instantly knew they were talking about the marketplace will give you a refund most likely. I was like, yeah, whatever. You'll deal with it how you normally do. That's what went through my head. And then everybody started complaining. I was like, what the why is this a special condition? It's like any other game. But it is what it is. Yeah, and lastly on our list of on CD Projekt Red is, why didn't they delay Cyberpunk? I was looking at Johnny Silverhands.
What you're thinking of?
Cyberpunk 2077 again. And this is where I hear a lot of corporate speech, where I was looking at this IGN article, and they're like, well, we didn't have any more than normal outside or internal influence. I'm like, bullshit. You had your investors going, it's been 8 years, get me my motherfucking money. And then you also have your PC master race assholes who are going around abusing everybody and their mother who talk shit about Cyberpunk 2077. Well, yeah, but I never saw you abuse anybody, so you're okay.
I like it, and even then, I don't know if I want to try. I don't know if I want to try Cyberpunk 2077 on this rig until I upgrade the graphics card.
Yeah, I honestly, at this point in time, I don't even think it's worth buying until February at minimum, if you're going to. And even then, I would say you would have to really, really, really want to play this game. Just a lot of corporate speak though, about no one pressured us, it was all on us. And I was like, so you just happen to not look at previous generation consoles that you've been developing it for the last 8 years, and you just happen to send out this piece of shit that was lumped into a horrible disfigured looking human being that looks supposed to be graphic fidelity. No, it's it's just a bunch of crap, and they knew what they did. They pushed it out, and it's because of internal pressures and external pressures. It's everything they're saying is a fucking lie. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a shame too, because this was probably one of the more anticipated games of the last 2 years.
It's been the most anticipated game for almost this generation.
Was
8 years of a console?
It was last year. It was E3 last year that the three of us had watched Keanu Reeves come out on stage for this at I think it was E3.
Was it this year or last year? Or this past, I think it was 2 years ago, wasn't it? Because E3 was canceled this year.
No, last year, 2019.
Yeah.
It was like a year, was it like a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds right.
Yeah. But like we were all, I know you, like the three of us were pretty hyped. Oh, Keanu Reeves out on stage. This sounds really good. You know, the preview, the video preview for the game looked awesome. So it was like, wow, there's really high expectations here and everything like that.
Well, not only that, but you had Keanu Reeves going, they're doing some crazy stuff, man. And you guys better be ready. And it's like, have you seen this game?
Keanu Reeves is kind of a crazy guy. So like he's a cool dude. I mean, he's really good in action films and all that stuff. But
crazy,
when he starts describing tech stuff, I might take him with a grain of salt.
Like if anybody saw this game, they'd be like, what the fuck is this? You're telling me to tell people this is amazing? What the fuck? They're going to murder me. But yeah, it's
but Mr. Reeves, we paid you $2.5 million to do this.
Well, that's right. It was up to you to make a good game, not me. I just did the job. I did my part. Fuck off. But,
I want to note we haven't actually heard Keanu Reeves' name, I think, come out since the game launched.
Yeah, he's absolutely separating himself right now. At first, during launch, you would see a few commercials with him, especially on Twitch. The other night I saw him on Twitch on an advertisement where they were pushing Cyberpunk, and I'm like, you guys shouldn't be pushing this game in this state. Like you were actually asking for lawsuits in a big way. Not only that. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say he has done a couple of interviews.
Yeah. Oh, plenty.
Yeah. Post launch is what I meant. Like post launch of the game, he's done a few interviews.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now.
I apologize.
It's fine.
34 minutes into our topic. Tell us what you think about CD Projekt Red in 2077, the old Cyberpunks. Do you feel punked? Is Ashton Kutcher going to come out of your CPU and just be like, "Bow, you've got the wrong game. We got you this whole time."
Instead, it's Ashton Kutcher as a cyborg coming out, and you're getting cyberpunked.
And you're getting cyberpunked, and he's just going to put his hand out and go, "Wake up, samurai. We got a game to burn instead of a world to burn." Anyway, so let's move on to our next topic of the show. You can leave our comments floating directly in front of Mark because he's wearing a Happy Hour shirt. It's right on his chest like the Superman symbol, but much more depressing. Move on to Mark's topic.
Oh my God.
Talk to us about what's happening.